A sizable group of friends have been going to an isolated area deep in the forest for a traditional summer camp for years. Their campsite was on the shore of a beautiful lake and was the perfect escape point for nature lovers. The first few days were great to feel the warmth of the sunny weather and the campfire. However, on the third day of the camp, the atmosphere suddenly began to change. The weather became cloudy, the wind rose rapidly, and the silence of the surrounding forest was filled with a strange tension. The campfire went out, and the sky was covered with a gray curtain. A group of friends discovered an old treehouse near the campsite. This abandoned hut looked like the habitation of an ancient hunter or nature lover. But when they entered, the drawings on the walls of the hut were covered with strange symbols and inscriptions. Friends could not understand what these symbols meant, but fear began to penetrate into them. That night, they saw in their dreams that they were surrounded by shadows around the campfire. The shadows seemed to be dancing with the symbols in the hut. The next day, each of them felt as if they had had this dream. The campfire began to burn again, but the effect of the shadows and symbols was still on them. The campmates tried to figure out the meaning of the strange symbols and why the shadows were following them. As the days passed, they felt the presence of mysterious figures wandering through the forest. There would be another night full of fear before the mystery of the decaying sounds and symbols among the trees was solved. A group of friends decided to go camping deep in the woods. The serene atmosphere and the sounds of nature made them feel alive. They set up their tents near a tranquil lake, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, they gathered around a crackling campfire. Sarah, an adventurous spirit among them, suggested they explore the forest at night. Curiosity got the better of them, and they ventured into the darkness with flashlights in hand. The tall trees loomed overhead, casting eerie shadows. An ominous feeling washed over them, as if the forest itself was alive. As they journeyed deeper into the woods, strange occurrences began. Their flashlights flickered, and the rustling of leaves seemed to echo their every move. Then, the campfire they had left behind suddenly extinguished, plunging them into complete darkness. Panic set in as they realized they were lost in the heart of the forest. Desperate to find their way back, they began retracing their steps, but soon discovered that their belongings were gone. The forest was playing tricks on them. Their voices echoed through the trees as they called out to each other, but something else echoed back. A haunting figure appeared, shrouded in darkness, and the campers knew they were not alone. They were being watched, pursued by a malevolent force hidden within the woods. They fought against the shadows and uncovered a hidden cult that thrived in the heart of the forest. To escape their terrifying fate, they had to decipher the secrets of the woods and confront the ancient curse that had gripped it for centuries. In a battle between light and darkness, the campers faced the chilling consequences of their adventurous choice. This camping trip would be one they'd never forget, an experience that would haunt them forever. For campers, Shadow Lake Camp was the perfect place to enjoy nature. Hidden deep in the forest, this camp was an ideal place for those looking for peace and adventure. However, for a group of young campers, this trip was going to end with an unexpected nightmare. One of the campers, Sarah, came to Shadow Lake Camp with her family. At first, everything seemed perfect. Tents were set up, fires were lit, and a peaceful view of the lake was being watched. But when night came, they began to hear strange sounds in the forest. When he fixed his eyes on the darkness of the forest, he saw a strange figure pass decently among the trees. At first, he dreamed, but during successive nights, this figure became more and more distinct. Fear began to spread among the campers. Deck. Everyone feels the presence of the shadow, but no one could explain this mystery. One night, Sarah and her family were sitting by the fire outside their tent. The shadows approached through the forest and raised a scream. The campfire suddenly went out, and the campers were alone in the dark. One after another, strange events began. Disappearing items, touches of unseen hands and sounds. The campers noticed that the shadow was approaching them and panicked. There must have been someone living in the forest, and this person or entity was not leaving them alone. the campers banded together to survive and decided to fight the Shadow Deck. They discovered that there is a secret community deep in the forest, and this community wants them to leave the Shadow Lake camp. However, the leader of the community did not intend to let the campers go. While the campers were trying to solve the mystery of the forest and the true identity of the Shadow, they found themselves in a nightmare. Shadow Lake Camp was no longer a joyful escape for them, but it turned into a terrible struggle for survival. In the cold of January, 4 friends set off for the wild forests of Oregon to go to the winter camp they have been planning for a long time. On the first day, after getting tired of walking on snow, when they had set up a nice tent for themselves to sleep in, night had started. Despite the fears in their dreams, they woke up before sunrise and started lighting fires. But after a comfortable night's sleep, they woke up because the nightmares they were having began to come true right in the forest. Figures full of black eyes wandering through the forest were approaching their camp. His eyes were deep black, and his hot breaths were cooling the air. The friends frantically tried to illuminate these strange figures with lanterns in their hands, but these figures were not human. Suddenly, a scream was heard. One of the friends disappeared. Only garbage and carcasses had left their place. The others also scattered in fear. They started to run away without knowing what was happening deep in the forest. The wild animals disappeared among the misty valleys and mysterious old buildings that were decaying in the forest. Days, maybe weeks, passed. As the friends became weaker from fear and pain, each step became darker and more menacing. Shivering with hunger and cold, they felt that black eyes were in every corner. Finally, they were found lost and distraught in the forest. Now they're more focused on survival than tracking down figures. But these wild forests of Oregon have revealed to them many mysterious secrets. It's an ancient community that used to roam these forests, and there's a curse hidden deep in this forest. Friends strengthened the bond between them, and they worked together to survive in the jungle. Deck. But the secrets of this forest and the mystery of the black eyes were following them every step of the way.